5 of 13 to kick off the 2023A season. Last week on Wednesday, if you caught us watching the truck race here, we had 7 cautions, and front half of the race was kind of clean. The back half, well, not so much, and it caused some stirs around the place. And now they have to head off to Coda. But this is the Mach-1 Performance Cup Series, where we're going to take 250 miles this time with the Cup cars around this 1.5 mile super speedway. And the track, well, it's much hotter. I think we're about upper to mid 90s on this track surface on Wednesday. Tonight, 118 degrees on the surface, 90 in the skies. Now, if you compare that to real life, that's about a 60-degree difference, I think, maybe 70. Huge fluctuation in temperatures. But, these guys have to tackle it for 250 miles. So if you thought the truck series was fun to watch, well, this race is probably going to be a lot more fun. My name, though, is Jeremy, and introducing again for the second time with me on my right-hand side, Mr. Jason Rockefeller. How's it going, my dude?
Awesome, man. Glad to be back here for the Mach-1 series. Should be a really good race today. Man, Atlanta was something in real life over the past weekend between the trucks, the Xfinity, and the Cup Series. I'm expecting a really good race here tonight. Road to Pro last week also was very interesting. Atlanta's been very hectic for a lot of drivers here this week, or this past week, on iRacing. I expect this race to probably be somewhat of the same here tonight for these guys.
Yeah, all the official iRacing stuff has been a blast to watch. Some major wreck avoidance, some just overall good talent displayed. And yeah, this track always chaotic ever since last year when they released it to the real world. It's just been a lot of fun. A lot of different cars run a lot of different ways around here. Tonight, it looks like in practice we've seen a lot of guys run the low to mid lane, which if you watched the real race yesterday, you saw a lot of mid to upper lane, not so much on the bottom, because there's so much speed carried on such a tight turned radius. It's just hard to keep the car down there, Jason.
Yeah, it's been really hard to keep the car down there. And you saw yesterday in the Real Cup race that the outside lane was really the predominant lane. Now, obviously today, for this race, for the Mach-1 series, the temperatures are a lot hotter, like you just said, compared to what it was yesterday on track for the Real Cup guys in the real world. They were battling, I want to say, between somewhere about 30 to 40 degrees. And they had a chill advisory down there in the Marietta and Atlanta area. I know that. And I mean, today it's just completely different for these sim racing guys here tonight. So it's going to be really slick out there tonight for sure. Tires, I think, are definitely going to play a factor because this track has had a little bit more time, to age and stuff, and everybody's gotten really used to the track over the last year since it was pretty much released. A lot of guys are a little bit more comfortable at making certain moves, and that's going to create a lot of tire wear. So I wouldn't be surprised if we maybe get a green flag stretch to where tires start to become an issue. But overall, yeah, that bottom lane, it's going to be really slick. I'm probably going to say you're going to see the race winner come from somewhere on the outside within the last 2 laps of the race, more than likely. That's how it's pretty much been all weekend long, and I expect it to be like that here tonight at Atlanta.
Yeah, the bottom seems to be pretty slick on the long run. The top side, I've seen quite a few guys in the virtual world kind of push up, hit the wall, get that wall glue. So the middle lane, middle of the upper is probably, I'm going to have to agree with you, Jason. I think that's where you're going to see the winner, at least someone making a hard charge effort toward the end of the race to try to make that last-ditch effort to get to checker flags in first place. But I'm going to recap last week in the point standings as we got a minute left in practice here. Richie Coy took over the point seed last week at Phoenix, where we saw Fred Moreau capitalize on his second W 2 weeks in a row. Tonight, though, he is not here. Nicholas Moreau did join in late. Nicholas Moreau is only 3 points outside of Richie Coy. And then Wayne Grossi, a part of his own team at Wayne Grossi Racing, is currently 3rd place in points, 16 points out. And that's really your top 3. And, 4th place, Troy Torgerson, 29 points out. He's still got a chance, but if he needs to recoup some points, Atlanta might be the make-or-break night for him.
Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of guys are going to see either they're going to be really conservative here tonight because they're afraid of wrecks. It's been like that all week. You're going to see either one of 2 kinds of races tonight. You're going to see one where it's going to be super calm, single file, unfortunately chugga chugga choo choo for us racing and sim racing fans because, yeah, just like that, yep, pull that whistle, baby. But it's going to be really different here tonight for the sim racing guys compared to what it was over the weekend for real Atlanta. It's going to be slick, like we talked about. The temperatures, the track temp, Jeremy, you said right before we did pre-roll was about 118 degrees, I think you said. That's really, really hot, especially for a brand new surface with brand new asphalt still. I expect that to probably be a big factor here tonight, but a lot of guys are either going to be very conservative here tonight or they're going to go balls to the wall, all against it. They're going to be pulling moves left and right, trying to get up to the front because track position is definitely going to be key. It's going to be hard to pass here tonight for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Can you imagine this track after being 10 years aged, where the grip level's gone and they still have to worry about? If they're slick now around this track, just imagine in 10 years when there's half the grip levels on this thing. It's going to be absolutely insane. But in the virtual world, you don't have to worry about that. So we're going to go on board with our fastest qualifier, or practice person that's currently on track. That's going to be your number 39 to Troy Torgerson. Practiced in fifth. So we just talked about him. He needs a really good night to put himself back within, the talk of the points here. He's almost 30 points out, 4 races in. So this guy has to do something here. We'll see what he does at this 1.5 mile for qualifying.
Yeah, he was right there exiting off turn number 4, right up on the outside lane. Notice how right now he's still in 4th gear. He has not reached 5th, which is a little bit odd. But when they go to the race, obviously the draft is a factor. Obviously the MPH is going to be way higher than what it is. You're going to see guys going up to 5th gear. Sometimes you might even see guys downshift down to 4th gear. I know that's been a thing with these mile-and-a-half racetracks. Obviously, though, we are with a super speedway package compared to the usual intermediate tracks like you would see for Chicago or what else? Old Atlanta or Charlotte, something like that, where you see guys kind of downshift in the corners sometimes. But right there, that time around, Troy was 3rd up on the board, obviously, and right now he's looking to run his regular lap, but he's just hugging that inside lane. Got to be careful not to clip it. I want to say, back before this track did get reconfigured, that inside lane, right on that red line, that's where all the grip used to be. Forget that now. Throw that idea out the window because now due to this reconfiguration, you hit that apron, you're going to get really loose. Saw it a lot in the official races over the week. Saw it in the Coke Series race. Saw it in Road to Pro. And you even saw it in the real-life 3-race event this past weekend in Atlanta. But right now, Troy currently sitting 7th on the board. So top 10 for him so far.
Yeah, pretty strong lap time for him as he's on his out lap now. Looks like currently Taylor Smith rocking P1 here with a 31.252. Richie Coy, your points leader, 2nd place right now, just a mere margin behind him at a 0.297. So it is super speedway. You're going to see a lot of close times in qualifying, but at the same token, you kind of have to have a setup that handles well here. You have to choose either do you want the grip in the corners or do you want the speed down the straights? There's really not a really good solid mixture, so the person who's going to solve that equation on how to get the maximum grip in the corners and have good speed on the straights, probably going to be one of your front runners tonight.
Yeah, more than likely for sure, Jeremy. But the thing that I noticed too over the weekend, even in the real life Cup Series race, you saw all 3 Penske cars were lights out 1, 2, 3 between Logano, Cindric, Blaney. They were up front all race long. I think compared to this race, compared to your traditional Talladega Daytona tracks, I think you can have a setup for just qualifying speed, and you will be a front runner. We saw that all of the races over this past week in the virtual world and the real world, where if you qualified up front, it meant something at these super speedways because it's a mile and a half. Because you really can't go 3 wide, it's going to be super hard to pass here tonight unless you try to do something absolutely chaotic that nobody would think of. Go 3 wide, 4 wide, whatever the heck it may be. But if right now, if you're like Richie Coy, Jonathan Fashone, Stephen Allen, you're currently sitting 2nd, 3rd, and 4th right now on this leaderboard, you might be really fast here in this race just because you had a super good handling car here in qualifying. I definitely think that's probably going to be the case here tonight.
Yeah, you're definitely not kidding. It is definitely one of the hardest tracks to pass. 3 wide is probably not going to be a thing of how tight of corridor this track is. I think it's like, 42 feet apart between the wall and the apron. And just the grip levels are not going to be there to produce 3 wide. So 2 wide, you're kind of stuck in a traffic jam. And so, it's just for us, it makes it much more entertaining of a race to broadcast for you guys currently watching on Nerd TV. Speaking of you guys that are watching, we got some chats in there. Coaster fan Leo says, let's go Omnia, referring to Omnia Motorsports. And also says, as well as for hashtag Stub Nation, can't forget them. They are live each and every time we are on the platform for Full Throttle Sim Racing. And then also Robert Curtis says, come on, Chris, you're better than your last 2 showings, and you know it. Get up there on that wheel and get her done. And that's what he plans to do for you guys tonight as qualifying does wind down, Jason. So we're going to go over the starting grid as soon as race kicks over, which it just did. We're going to get that out of the way because it's going to be a shorter of a pace lap before these guys take green flag for 163 laps here tonight. Talon Smith going to take your top spot there. Richie Coy is going to hold on to second. Second row, Jonathan Vachon is going to start in third with Lane Allen to his outside in fourth. Steve Loomis is going to qualify fifth. Kyle Milliken sixth. Stephen Lou Allen in seventh. Ryan Hendrick eighth. Wayne Grossi ninth. In the top 10 starting spot, 15, Nicholas Moreau.
Yeah, and then going through the top 20, you got Joshua Johnson in 11th. Sherwood Williford, looking for him to be fast tonight. He was fast last week in Phoenix. He'll start 12th here tonight. Next row, you got Matthew Vachon in the 13th place. Jeff Chandler in the 14th place. Troy Turgerson, 15th. And Chris Curtis there in 16th. Colby Mice in the 17th spot. And Tony Solar in the 18th position. Ryan Hoover, 19th. And John Thompson rounds out the top 20.
21st, you're going to find Brian Dublé. 22nd to his outside, Colton Gum. 23rd place, James Wallace. 24th, Ryan Chapman. 25th, Josh Mayu. Starting in 26th, Casey McMullen. 27th, James Torrey. 28th, Robert Milliken. 29th place is Justin Diltz. Brody Hanna starts in 30th. 31st, Timothy Stubblefield. 32nd, Chris Beck. 33rd, Chad Lang. 34th, Brian Bliss, who was up there in practice, did not qualify. 35th, Brandon Elder, and Alan Crowell once again is going to be your caboose here, starting in 36th, which is matching the best turnout here for Full Throttle Sim Racing Cup Series. I think they had 36 here. Was it this past Wednesday, and then now they got it again here on Monday?
Believe so.
So excellent numbers for these guys. If you guys want to be a part of this action, make them do a qualifying session where they have to get, an X amount of drivers in. So if you want to make Brody and them leading this league, think a little harder and have a little qualifying race. Join FTSR at FTSR.net. Get registered. They use the Sim Racing Points software. It is super clean and effective, and you know exactly what you're doing. It's the charter system as well. One of a kind product that you'll see because it is newer, and FTSR basically is the guinea pig of that. And so you have to buy your cars, buy your drivers. Makes for a quite of an entertaining league situation overall. So once again, FTSR.net. Get a part of this action today. And they're on the backstretch right now, Jason. Talon Smith is going to lead the field. I think this is his first time starting in first. Richie Coy, though, to his outside. No stranger to starting up in the front row. He's now as the points leader for the first time this season. Let's see what he's got in store for that 19.
Yeah, I expect him to be really good here tonight, Jeremy. He was very strong last week, even though he was involved in about a halfway caution period. He got involved in a wreck there, heading through the dog leg. I expect him to be very, very fast here tonight. Very odd seeing that number 19 DeWalt Toyota paint scheme on a Ford Mustang. But hey, we're at Atlanta, I guess you could flip-flop it in a sense because this used to be a regular mile and a half. Now it's Super Speedway. But I will say, if there's one driver I'm going to look out for tonight, it's James Wallace. Very strong last week in Phoenix. I think he's ready for some redemption here tonight.
Yeah, and you'll definitely see him come up through the field as the green flag does fly. The 18, Mr. Smith, gets a great launch over Richie Coy. Clears himself about 3 car lengths already over now the 97 of Jonathan Vachon. Is the 19 probably just had a misshift there or got caught sleeping. Either way, really the top 3 have separated themselves. Now watch out for that top lane. They are stacked up. They got a clean track in front. Get a little side draft maybe off the 19 to 97 and the 18. They might shoot themselves up to the front here in a hurry. The inside looking kind of spaced out though.
Yeah, that inside lane, those front 3 really took off in a hurry right there, Jeremy, off the start. You see the 19 of Richie Coy automatically jumping up to the top side. He's going to have help with Steven Allen. He said, hey, man, I want to lead this top side. You could just see the amount of momentum like we talked about right before during pre-race, how much momentum that outside lane carries. But notice if they get really high, next time maybe when they go into the corner, for you fans at home watching, take a look at that outside lane. You're going to see a lot of rubber specks when you get closer and closer to that wall. So it's very slick up there. You don't want to get too high up there. That middle lane seems to be the sweet spot like it's been all week long, both at virtual and real Atlanta. But Richie Coy leading that outside lane with Steven Allen behind him, but it's all Talon Smith out front here for these first 2 laps, Jeremy.
Yeah, he's proven himself to be a really good super speedway racer, and I expect nothing different. You see the 19 maybe trying to control the draft a little bit like we saw Keselowski do yesterday in the real world, going up to the middle groove, holding them up there a little bit. But I think he stayed up there too long, or maybe just has the plan of running the middle lane where his car might feel the most comfortable. As a 97 now, Jonathan Vachon does get to the bottom inside of the 18, but going back into turn number 1, looks like the 18 takes sole possession of the lead again.
Yeah, he jumped right up to that top side right there, Jeremy. He saw the amount of momentum they were carrying. And point out, too, that on that first lap, when those 3 broke away like we were talking about, as you see the 19 of Richie Coy tries to move to the bottom, but Smith's going to block him there. Good block right there by Smith. Not over-aggressive, but obviously, you know, not going to give it easy here on Richie Coy as we're only 4 laps in right here at the line. But notice, too, like I was just talking about, those first 3, they really shot out ahead on those restarts. For every restart that happens here tonight, I really do expect that to happen a lot. But then you're going to see the field, just like at Talladega and Daytona, you're going to see them just pass them like they're on, you know, like they're a locomotive passing a bundle of rocks, if you want to say. I guess that's the best analogy that I could put it. But, I mean, that's just the truth here. You know, these super speedways, the closing rate with this super speedway package, you know, these drivers, they close so fast. So you really don't want to be too far out in front here at these super speedways like Atlanta is nowadays, too.
Yeah, and last week when iRacing did their seasonal update, they did change how the cars draft a little bit, and they have that 7-inch spoiler now on the back. So that combination does allow for a really quick suck up, and it is a lot easier than what it was last season to make that time up, especially at a track like Atlanta, when you're a second back and you know you're only a couple cars in your pack. You're able to close that gap a lot faster than what you used to before. But right now, surprising me, Jason, this inside lane is starting to be where you want to be. The top 5 are all there by themselves before you see side by side. That's back for 6th and 7th with Wayne Grossi and Lane Allen, as Lane Allen does lead the charge on the top now. But there's only 4 drivers in that front little group on the top side. So the inside early on is surprising me right now.
Yeah, that inside's definitely rolling a lot better than I thought it was going to. And now you see the 14 of Steven Allen. He's the one leading that top side. That's currently all the way back to about the 6th or 7th position. But you see another driver jumps right up in front of him. That's the 24 of Stephen Llewellyn. So that outside lane, as it starts to break apart, you're going to see more guys from that inside lane kind of jump up to the top side because they want a piece of that action. They want to get to the front as fast as they can because, unfortunately, some guys just a little bit more impatient than others. They want to get to the front in a hurry.
Yeah, some of the guys really want to. It is definitely the safer place, I would say, when you're 15th on back. You're just kind of at the mercy of the guys in front of you. You saw it several times yesterday. We saw it quite a few times on Wednesday. So you want to be up front. The 18 is definitely in the best spot. The 19 as well. When you got no one really around you to worry about. It's such a close quarter track that you just kind of, you know, you want to be in control as much as you can. And so to do this at Atlanta, you have to be up in the front.
Yeah, you definitely do have to be up at the front. And like we talked about earlier, too, track position's going to be a thing. You notice how you really aren't seeing much 3-wide racing. I mean, if you went further back here within the last few laps throughout the field, you notice that there were some guys trying to make some 3-wide moves because they were either A, going to lose the draft, or they just had such a big run they had to take those momentum-building runs right there. And you see the 97 now of Jonathan Vachon. He's now jumped up to the outside lane, so they're kind of starting to form back up. But only time's going to tell here as you see that outside lane slowly start to creep back to what they were in those first 2 laps of the race.
The question is now can they get up to the front few cars, the 19, the 18, and now the 17, numerically ordered, almost are holding the bottom really strong. We know Wayne Grossi's also got a really dominant car when it comes to these super speedway styled races. So I just don't see the speed right now. Something different with the draft package maybe compared to last season. It's just this outside, even with 5, 6, 7 cars deep there, there's really not much going on the top 12 laps into this race.
Yeah, well, you saw right there the 24 of Stephen Llewellyn. He wanted no part of that outside lane. He jumped up just a handful of laps ago there, Jeremy. And notice he just went right back down to the bottom, tucked back from Jonathan Vachon right there in that number 97. And then he went right back down to the bottom just because the outside lane is just not really going anywhere. You see him right now, though, trying to take a peek to go back to that outside lane. But even if he did there, Jeremy, I don't really think he's going to get a run, even though the inside lane did just check up a tad through the center of 1 and 2. But the inside lane is just super, super strong right now. And not to mention the fact, too, that they're very organized.
They are very organized, and I'm also noticing, too, there's a lot of space, especially mid-pack, between each car. I don't know if that's a product of them just giving a lot of space and being kind to their fellow racers on the track, or this is an open setup, so maybe some of the setups aren't really tweaked to how they want, and they can't get that suck up that we talked about 5 laps prior. So be kind of curious to see how that looks as the race progresses on. But yeah, it's like reverse leapfrog. I know yesterday they were going to the bottom to try to make a quick pass and scoot themselves back to the top, but right now it's got to get to the front by going to the bottom and then trying to lead the charge on the top. So it's a little bit of a different dynamic. As you saw, it looked like the 42 Milliken kind of almost have a little bit of wall glue effect. Scratched the fender on that car just enough, but didn't really cause any damage. No harm, no foul. I guess the 15 did as well. So might be starting to see some handling issues early on.
Yeah, I mean, we're 15 laps past when we initially started this race now. This is about time, regardless, really, Jeremy, of what track you go to, besides a road course where you're really going to start to see fall off. I was always told when I first started iRacing about 2 years ago from my one buddy, Kenny Brady, he was always telling me that, the car really starts to kind of take a dive. Both he and his brother told me after about 15 laps or so, usually 10 to 15 laps is about the sweet spot when handling really starts to go away because you've built up enough heat in the tires, you've kind of gotten a feel for your car, and then after those tires have been heated up for so long now, like it's been coming to 16 laps complete, tires, they just start to shred away slower and slower and slower, and over time, eventually it's just going to go, and you're just going to have nothing to handle with, and you're going to see guys just really struggle with handling. That's why I said beforehand this race, you're going to see a lot of guys struggle to pass here tonight. Like I said earlier, no 3 wide action so far. As you see the 24, he jumped back up to the top side now, but be careful because as this run goes on here, it's going to be harder to make moves like that very quickly. You're definitely going to have to take care of your car and probably look after your tires for what kind of moves you make here as this run progresses throughout the night.
Keep your eye out on this 24 of Stephen Llewellyn. I know you said it's multiple times it's hard to pass here, which it very well is. I saw the 97 behind him. It looked like he got a little loose there, but the 24 Llewellyn was trying to get around the 47 all he could, but to what we've kept saying already, it is super hard to pass, and he cannot make a pass on the 47. So now he said, you know what? I'm going to try this top side once more and see if we can't get anything going, but as you go to the top, it looks inviting all day, but when you go up there, the 57, for instance, Joshua Johnson just goes, hey, thanks for that spot. I'm going to try to pass you on the bottom. That lap, he does get that pass completed, but you see there's a lap car coming up. That's James Torrey in the 6. Looks like he's going to stay high as the preferred racing line currently is on the bottom. As a lot of other cars do shift to the bottom to make way for the 6 as he's going to go through, and it's always sketchy to go through right here in Atlanta.
Oh, yeah, it's always going to be sketchy to go 3 wide here in Atlanta. You could just see right now, look at these guys. They're already kind of bracing for impact. If they did, oh, my goodness, right there, the 14. Oh, my goodness, Stephen Allen there almost got right into that machine right there up on the outside lane. That's the 6 of James Torrey. We got a wreck on the back.
The 97, Jonathan Vachon. I didn't catch the other guy, but looks like 2 cars in wrecks. And no caution. This league does not throw manual yellow, so as long as this thing continues to go green, I think that's it. The 97 out early. He's going to need an early caution to kind of help him out as we're going to try to catch it live, or from replay, rather. Jonathan Vachon early in a wreck here. It looks like the 31, that being Jeff Chandler. Those 2 guys come back up the track. Thankfully, no one else is involved. Heavy damage there as the 31 of Chandler goes back to the inside wall. So the 97 stays on track. The 31, though, with a little more damage.
Yeah, that's just unfortunate circumstances here. Guys are just checking up, unfortunately, and everybody's just kind of trying to get back in line more, and he could have saved it right there, man, but he just kept rolling and rolling, tried to lock it up there. Unfortunately, just slid to the inside wall. Maybe he could have tried to straighten out the wheel just a little bit more, but I'm sure that the 31 there probably had that wheel as straight as he could probably try to be right there. But look at this now, Jeremy. Now this field went from being too wide. So here we go, chugga chugga choo choo. We talked about it during pre-race. Eventually it was going to be like this. And things like that leads to opportunities for single file racing. And, you know, and this is what it presents here. The only two wide you're seeing right there is with the 33 car and the 24, 57, or yeah, the 57 there on the bottom with the 24 as well. And they're probably going to shuffle the 33 of Sherwood-Williford there to the back. But here we go, single file racing. Now the question is who's going to pull out a line and try to make some passes possibly and try to get some track position out of that.
The only thing I could see teammate-wise, the only teammates really together inside this top 5 or top 10, at 47 and 57. That's Ryan Hedrick and Joshua Johnson. They are teammates. They might be the first guys to make a move to the top. As we're seeing the 33 of Sherwood-Williford, he just listened and said, hey, I'm going to try this now. He's going to dip his nose to the top with a couple other guys like the 14 of Lane Allen, but they can't get it organized, and they start to fall to the back here slowly but surely. But you got to make your friends if you want to make that happen, because that outside is so dependent on getting nose to tail, running as hard as you can, maybe push the issue on the right side door panel on the guy below you, maximize your side draft, and try to take any advantage possible to get yourself to the front, because right now, 25 laps in, completely different than what I thought. This inside lane is cranking no matter the temperature on the track, which is still 116 degrees.
Yeah, that's the thing, though, Jeremy, you were just talking about with side drafting. I'm noticing, too, the 33 of Sherwood-Williford, he's not really getting on the door of the 15 of Nicholas Moreau there, especially heading down to 1. Obviously, now he's dropped back about 2 cars behind Moreau, but he's really just leaving a lot of room. I want to say if that outside lane can get formed up just a little bit more, maybe have a few more cars. You see the 15 look to the outside there to jump up in front, but he decided to stick back in on the bottom side of the racetrack. The 33, I think if he wants to try to make passes, because you can see he's hanging in there, that number 33, Good Wrench Service Taz Chevrolet Camaro, throwing it back to Dale Earnhardt. He should probably, if he wants to make some more passes with the 14 behind him, probably put that left front fender on the right rear quarter panel of that 15 and other drivers as he progresses through the field, because side drafting is definitely key if you want to make passes here at these super speedway type tracks.
Jumping to the chats, Jessica Stubblefield saying Stubbs, and Coaster Fan also saying he may be in the back, but he has the skill to win. I think that's referring to Stubblefield. And then let's go Boomerang Motorsports from the Stig, who are basically has been elected as our in-broadcast analyst, if I do recall that correctly. So welcome back to Stig as well. A little 3-wide action coming off of turn 2. That quickly sorts itself out. That being the 42, the 15, and the 14. They're back 2 by 2 here. Is really the racing action is for 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. These guys are getting pretty racy right now.
Yeah, they are getting really racy right now. They're getting runs off the corner. And honestly, Jeremy, we might have probably just jinxed ourselves in a sense, because we were sitting here saying the bottom was doing good. Look at the 33, how much ground he's made up towards the front there. You can see the last time we were talking about Sherwood right there, he was with the 15 of Moreau, and now he is well past him. He's about to try to make the pass for 3rd place as you ride on board Williford Chevy Camaro here as he goes through the tri-oval, hitting the line now. 30 laps up on the board completed. He's trying to get to Steve Loomis's right rear quarter panel. And I tell you what, somebody might have been watching the broadcast and telling Sherwood, hey man, listen to what Jason said, because I'm noticing too, going through these corners, he's definitely sticking that left front fender on the right side doors more. You see him right there on the 7 of Wayne Grossi right there into the corner. Now he's to the 17. He's going to try to get that run here off the corner, dive it a little bit. He'll get a run, but the inside lane a little bit formed up better now. He's just got to keep side drafting. And before you know it, I guarantee you Sherwood and the guys behind him are going to be back up at the front of the field contending for the race lead.
This is the best we've seen the top side here with the amount of cars that are there. Only 3 cars, and they are contending right now. That 33 does hold the last place in the top 5. Kind of impressed to see it happen. Maybe the inside's starting to lose that grip a little bit. As you see the cars right in front of them, they're not hugging that yellow or the red and white line. I'm used to being at yellow. The red and white line right now. At least through turns 3 and 4. Let's see if they do that in 1 and 2. Looks like they went about a car length up in that corner, coming through 1 and 2. Looks like they're gonna hug it a little tighter this time, so maybe it's just a one-off there. But either way, it does single file out. The 33 kind of tucks in behind the 7 to get that draft. And then the 42 decides to go back up to the top, looking for one last-ditched effort as he goes to the top side of the 47. Let's see what he can do up there.
Yeah, he's actually going to almost clear that 47. Oh, and there's a little bit of contact there, it looks like, between the right front fender of the 47 of Ryan Hedrick there. Oh, my goodness. I mean, that was just so close. I cannot believe that Kyle Milliken almost was able to pull that off. Got to run down the back straightaway. Saw a puff of smoke there up front. Not sure what that was, but we're going to keep on going here. But yeah, back to Kyle Milliken. I cannot believe it. You see him. Here he goes again. Tries it again. He might be able to clear the 47 off turn 4. Not as much, though, as he almost did last time around. I cannot believe that Kyle is able to make these moves by himself. But you got to think to yourself, Jeremy, he's definitely using up a little bit of tire doing that by himself.
That was a 31 of Jeff Chandler coming off the pit road exit, hit the apron transition and got loose. Had to lock up the tires a little. That's why you saw that puff of smoke here. I wanted to mention, too, I don't think I mentioned it before, as stage break. We got one coming up on lap 50, so we got 17 laps away, 16 at the line before we'll see that caution fly intentionally to get these guys rewound up, new set of tires and some fuel, get them leashed out for the extra 113 laps afterwards. But kind of spaced out at the moment. 47 and 42 are basically the only guys side by side within the top 10 here. The top 5 have kind of spaced themselves out. And Jason, you got some lap cars coming their way for the race leaders.
Yeah, definitely some lap cars coming up. You see the 47 tried to block the 42 there. But so far, it's all been Talon Smith up at the front of the field with Richie Coy, Steve Loomis. That's your podium top 3 right now. And Wayne Grossi right there. He had a solid run back at Phoenix just a week ago. He's looking to try to have a good run here today, especially with Sherwood Williford. He was also another car I noted last week, too, that was very strong. And so far, he's been doing a great job here. But yeah, the lap car is definitely going to play a factor. The last time they hit some lap cars, just about half a lap later, you saw some trouble. I don't know if it's going to happen this time around. You see one car lets him go all the way to the top. He'll go to the bottom. But the last time they hit some lap traffic, they got into a little bit of a scuffle. Might happen here again, but I don't believe so, because since they all are single file right now. But Kyle Milliken, though, he might run into some trouble if he keeps trying to go double wide there with the 47 of Ryan Hedrick right there on the bottom side.
We'll see as they come through turn 3, side by side. Still looks like the 47 does back out. That's surprising all by in itself. He had the group of cars behind him. He could have made that happen, used the pick there on the 42, and the 42 had to make a move. But no, being the nice guy, Ryan Hedrick, he allows the 42 of Kyle Milliken to go to the bottom. Single file as they pass the one car there, that being of John Thompson, who is currently now residing one lap down. But, yeah, kind of spaced out here as we're coming up to about 12 laps to go. As we're watching them do that, quick shout out to our Wednesday sponsor at Martin Sports, longtime friends with the Nerditudes. If you're looking for top quality apparel with the fastest turnaround in the business, these guys are a small time company, big time product. Have a lot of different things in their repertoire now as they've got a new embroidery machinery. So they can do shirts, hoodies, hats, gloves, of course. They're known for their gloves all throughout the entire sim world. So if you're looking to pick up anything fully customized or off the shelf with the fastest turnaround in the business, head over to martinsports.gg. Anything you put in your shopping cart, make sure to use a promo checkout code SUPERNERD. It's going to save you 25% off anything you purchase from martinsports.gg.
Still got to get me a pair of those Martin Sports gloves. I know my buddy Terry Radford always says they're the best dang gloves in the sim world. So definitely check them out, folks, if you're into the sim racing world and if you need any apparel. But hey, I'm noticing something here, though. As this laps are winding down, the pack's kind of separated a little bit, you know. You're going to start to see some guys maybe try to start making some moves there towards the front. I noticed that the 42 of Kyle Milliken, when he was all by himself, he got a huge run by himself, and obviously now he's gotten past Sherwood Williford. Kyle's been the only driver I've really been seeing make moves here, Jeremy. You see him right here. Man, Kyle Milliken, you might as well just call him Chase Elliott or Dale Jr. here at this Atlanta Motor Speedway, because he is trying everything, everywhere, all at once, just trying to get some positions here, and he's bringing some other drivers with him. I would definitely, if I were another driver, probably follow Kyle Milliken here, because he's the only one making some speed. And here he goes, side drafting the number 7 of Wayne Grossi down the back straightaway. He might just pick up 4th here into 3, Jeremy.
If you notice what he did there too, he got to the door panel of the 7, and once he got directly side by side, he shoots his car to the top, separates himself to eliminate the 7 from getting any side draft, and that maximizes the 42's chance of passing Wayne Grossi there. I also noticed too, about 10 laps ago, Kyle was actually pushing the back bumper of Ryan Hedrick in the 47 down the quad oval. He was basically tandeming him all the way through the straightaway that does turn, had his bumper locked to him, maximizing that speed entering turn 1. So the 42, Kyle's getting some excellent practice on how to push the envelope. Where does his car feel comfortable? He knows exactly where his bumper now is to push these guys through even the toughest parts of the track. He's using all the side draft possible, which is single-handedly has passed a couple of guys now on the top side. We're not seeing anybody else do that in the field, as he's now working on the 33 of Sherwood Williford, who temporarily had a setback there after the 7 got around him. But once again, here comes the 47 behind the 42. He's going to push him right in front of the 33, and Kyle said, hey, thanks for the spot. I'm going to go to the bottom now.
Yeah, well, I guarantee you here, Jeremy, if that 47, like he is right now, is getting back to him, that 42 is going to pick those guys up. And shout out to Ryan Hedrick there. He finally had some common sense there with the rest of those drivers to notice, like we were just talking about, with how Kyle Milliken was making some moves there up on the outside all by himself. They know that Kyle can make the moves by himself, but they actually hang him out to dry. Kyle's going to stay on the bottom side now. This is going to let the 7, the 17, the 19, the 18 all shoot out front. They're a 4-car breakaway right now, so if they want to catch those leaders, they're going to have to get formed up super quickly, because if they do, I guarantee you they can catch those 4 guys up at the front, but it's looking like it's going to be too little too late here before the stage ends.
Yeah, we noticed last year at the super speedways, that if you're side by side in a group, you are much slower. I think it was 3 or 4 cars in the front pack and about 16 plus in the second pack. And the 16 cars were slower because that side draft just bogs down the inside lane. And of course, we're on the top. You have to go around the track at a further distance. It really just slows things up. And that top 4 the top 3 has that great advantage as they are single file. They're just doing it. They have tons of speed. And so you're seeing, continuing on the charts here now, it's almost 2-second gap between the guys up front versus that big pack in the back. But we have 3 laps to go here. So, this is basically where the top 4 or top 3 is going to finish. But the second pack, though, they got a lot of shuffling around before this stage break.
Yeah, they're going to try to pick up as many positions as they can here before this stage break. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see some trouble here towards the end of this stage. It's just looking like these guys, though, are just going to keep on racing it out. They don't want to try to race for the lead right now. As you see Sherwood Williford to the outside lane here of Kyle Milliken, who's been so strong here these first 48 laps here for the virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway. And he's got help on the bottom from Nicholas Moreau. Obviously, his brother Fred won last week, so he's looking to try and get some redemption. I believe last week Nicholas did end up wrecking last week after having such a fast car. I believe it was him, and also James. There he goes around.
The 15 of Nicholas Moreau head on to the inside retaining wall as the leaders take the white flag. That is huge. Nicholas Moreau is your second place in points, 3 points out. Hopefully you can get that car repaired. And I guess if you're going to wreck, you're going to do it at the right time, right before a caution. But man, oh man, as he came back on the track too, he almost took out that extra group of cars that were going around him.
Well, Jeremy, I hate to say it, I just tend to be the commentator curse. I don't know what it is. Ever since I started sim commentating, I just tend to jinx a lot of drivers. So sorry to the 15 there, but yeah, unfortunately, that just looked like a little bit of a checkup got some help from behind. Just not, guys behind him. It's obviously so hard. I mean, it's not the Xfinity Series car, but I mean, these are the Cup cars. You can see a little bit better, but it's so hard to see what's in front of you if a guy checks up quickly enough. Reaction speed. Just obviously a complete mental game here on the super speedways. But unfortunate break after I was just talking so highly about Nick Moreau there. Yeah, you just see just a little bit of a checkup got into him there. Just an unfortunate break there for the number 15, and more than likely he's not going to be as fast as he was earlier in these first 48 laps.
And that was off the nose of the 57, Joshua Johnson, as the first caution of the night presented by Roasted Jim's Coffee is officially out to end stage 1. That means these guys are going to make their pit stops, and we'll see where they all get sorted as we come back from our first commercial break. Stay tuned, folks. And welcome back to full screen coverage here for the Full Throttle Sim Racing Mach-1 Performance Cup Series, as these guys are now 2 by 2, ready to take the beginning of stage number 2. Currently on lap 54 of scheduled 163. So we just got just under a third of the race complete. 2/3 is on the way. Jason, we saw some tire wear maybe starting to take an effect after around lap 30. At 35 is when the top side seemed to started to find its momentum. I know the 42 was doing it all by himself, but it looked like that to come into the stage in that second group, the outside was just as fast as the inside, which we didn't see that in the first half of the stage. So maybe a long run pace for that outside lane, but the pace car is down, waiting for Talon Smith to once again take the green flag. He's led every single lap up to this point. And the 19, Richie Coy, gets a much better start this time on the 18. Let's see if maybe he can hold it going through 1 and 2.
Yeah, I expect him right here to go down to the bottom once he gets about clear, but he might not, though. It looks like the 17, he might have a bit of a run, and the 7's actually going to come up to help the 19s. He's very squirrely there off turn number 2. This is the most condensed I've seen the pack. As you see, the 18, big block on the 19, and the 19 does the switcheroo on him. He'll cross him over down to the inside of the racetrack. Big blocks here by Talon Smith early on. You got to be careful with that. Like Brad Keselowski has said in the Cup Series, if you throw one big block, I think I'm just going to wreck you. I tell you what, Jeremy, later on in this race, blocking's not going to be your best friend, because if I'm behind you, or if any one of these drivers are behind you, you best bet your bottom dollar you're getting turned to that wall if you were to block like that.
719 off of turn 4 almost looked like they made some contact, but I questioned the 18 when he went to the top in turn 3. But when he came off of turn 4, I was like, well, he knows what he's doing, because he cleared the 19, drops back in front of him, and the 18 to Talon Smith takes sole position of the race lead already. Still leading 100% of the laps here through lap 56, as the much racier front half of the field here. About 3 laps into this run now. You see in the 7 trying to fight the 17, the 57 right behind the 7 here, and the 47. Just a bunch of 7s here on the top half of the field. But it's looking a lot more racier than what it did stage 1.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Also, both rows really had a good start there in that first lap, and including even onto the second lap now. I mean, they've just been so strung out. They were so strung out in that first part of the race, especially on that start. Now that they've had that restart, now these guys know, all right, we know when to go. We know when Talon's going to go. We know when Richie's going to go. So now they kind of have some kind of indication as to when to go compared to the initial start. But so far, that inside lane, back to what it was, dominant in that first part, in that first stage. And now that outside lane, they're going to have a lot of work to do. Joshua Johnson leading that outside lane. He's got help from Ryan Hedrick behind him. We're going to have to see if them, and also Colton Gum, if they can make some headway up to the front. They got a big run here coming off turn number 2.
As to do that, we're gonna try doing this last week. We had some technical difficulties on it, but we're gonna do it again. Turn up the tunes as you're gonna hear all the cars go through this 1.5 mile Atlanta Motor Speedway. We'll be back with you in a few moments. And that was Turn Up the Tudes here. We renamed that from last year, if you remember, early on in 2022. Used to be named something a little different, but it's a lot more recognizable this time. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. And a much, much racier race overall from the very front of the field to the very tail of the field. These guys are basically all 2x2x2. They're running a little higher up on the track, especially mid-pack. The bottom pack is still running nice and tight to that white and red line. This is exactly what I expected the first stage, but these guys are having at it, Jason, here for stage 2.
Yeah, they definitely are, Jeremy. And I mean, and Kyle Larson said it best yesterday during the Cup race. I mean, obviously different story than what it's been here today, and obviously different conditions, etc. But Kyle Larson said those first 2 stages were some of the most boring racing he's ever had. And then all of a sudden in stage 3, everybody just decided to, you know, loosen up the belts and just have at it. So, I mean, I expect that to really be the way pretty much here from here on out to the end of the race. I expect this to be pretty racy to the end of the stage, obviously. But then when that 3rd stage hits, oh boy, you're going to see guys going at it probably within those last few laps because they know, just like we've seen here today so far, look who's been up at the front. This wouldn't be normal at Talladega and Daytona, but here obviously with how tight it is and being a mile and a half, Talon Smith, Richie Coy, and also Steve Loomis pretty much have been the top 3 all night long so far, including drivers like Sherwood Williford, Wayne Grossi so far in 5th and 6th. So I expect some of these guys to probably maybe not be here towards the end of the race if they decide to get really racy and probably have some calamity happen on track.
Yeah, as this top 4 has kind of started to single file out a little bit. The 33 dipping his left wheels below the red and white line. The 57 there, Joshua Johnson, who could kind of cause that accident before stage break off the bumper of his machine there. Running strong. This is the first time we've seen him lead the charge. He's got his teammate Ryan Hedrick in the 47 directly behind him. So they're starting to work together here. But Talon Smith is just impressed with how much speed he has. The 19 Richie Coy cannot get to the back bumper. So Richie's pushing that big bubble behind the 18, causing them to separate a little bit even over the 17, who Stephen Loomis is unable to get to the back of the 19.
Yeah, that inside lane's just going to keep on getting more and more strung out. And even so, the outside lane is kind of broken up a little bit. You saw some guys jump to the bottom. I believe Josh Johnson was up on that top side. Now he's dove down to the bottom side. I tell you what, though, Jeremy, if there's one guy I know who probably is going to get clear of that outside lane and want to lead it, and you see him right here, here he comes. He's about to pass that one car on the outside. That's Kyle Milliken. Here he comes on the inside lane, right behind Ryan Hedrick. And you see him on the bottom side of Colton Gum there. He's looking to be clear here. Maybe once they head through one and once they head down the back straightaway, he might try to jump up to the outside lane. I expect Kyle Milliken to be making all the moves towards the front of the field here once he gets clear of the 10 and that top side.
Yeah, I'm definitely on your page there. I think he's going to make that jump. But as soon as you're talking about that going through turn 2, the inside lane with a massive checkup, and you see it there. Kyle Milliken now has a couple cars that passed him on the top side there, that being the 10 and the 37. So Colton Gum currently leading that charge there with Brian Dublé on the top. There's only 2 cars in that little group, and there's a few more behind it, but there's about a 5-car length separation between the 2 little packs there. You don't want to see that if you're trying to get anything going on the top. That's why you saw the 57 and the 47, that means Johnson and Hedrick, to make their way to the bottom, because they know that's where the speed's at. The momentum on the top, I think, is currently gone away.
Yeah, top's definitely going away for sure, Jeremy. And you're seeing that 10 of Gum and then that 57 of Johnson on the bottom side. They're just going to keep on staying side by side. The longer they stay side by side, side drafting plays a factor. That air is going to duck onto that rear spoiler and cause some drag back because it creates more drag and obviously reduces the amount of speed that these drivers can carry. Just, natural physics here, especially in the iRacing world. Shout out to them for providing these sim racers with some great real sim racing world physics for the real life stuff. And you're going to see that 7 in that front field too in front of them that are single file. They're going to start to go away a little bit more the more and more that those 2 guys continue to be side by side. But so far, they're kind of hanging in with the 7 car right now.
7 car right now. Yeah, they're doing an excellent job right now. 7 car 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 right now. Just kind of hanging out there. The top side is kind of closed up, but as I say, the 10 almost gets into the wall there. The 51 really close to scraping the wall, that being Brandon Elder. So with that being said, that's going to lose a little bit of momentum. The 10 now is going to fall temporarily behind the 57 of Johnson. He does have the door open on the bottom if he wants to take it. Looks like he wants to hold it as the 47 of Hedrick does clear back, or get right next to the back bumper once again to his teammate here. Robert Curtis back on the chat saying, let's go Chris, number 98. That being Chris Curtis there. He's running a really pretty mediocre race. Started 16th, currently running in 14th position. So kind of just hanging out in the middle. In my pre-race, that's where I said I did not want to be because I want to control my fate. But at that same token, these guys are really spaced out, and you can control your fate to an extent because you're not log jammed, mid-pack like I thought you were going to be.
Yeah, you're definitely not log jammed, but I mean, to a degree, you really are having a tough time passing. I mean, we talked about it, like I said, during pre-race with you, Jeremy, how hard it was going to be to pass for these guys tonight. I mean, look at Kyle Milliken. We just said, oh, once he gets up to that top side, he's going to be the one to reckon with, whatever. Look at how stuck he is on that bottom side. He cannot make a run. He's trying everything he can do to get past that 10 car, but once he gets there, he falls right back. There's nothing that he can really do just because of the nature of this mile-and-a-half type super speedway racing. And you see right there, the 44 machine is going to be up into the wall almost. That's Chris Beck going a lap down. It's going to be a problem here for some of these drivers. But look at this now. This opens up the door for Kyle Milliken to jump up to the top. We talked about earlier how strong he was at making those moves. And we're going to have to see if he does jump up to the top side as this pack slowly starts to fade away and break apart.
Chris Beck in the 44 was dropped to be his first lap down this evening and made it really close here. He didn't give all the room there to the 2 lanes below him. And it caused a little bit of shuffle up and allowed that 42, which there he goes. 42 Milliken to the top side over the 47 now. This is a battle for 8th position. As he clears the 57. He does have a door open if he wants to sneak in between the 57 and the 7, if he can get clear to the 57.
I tell you what, if I were any of these drivers right now, or not any of these drivers, but if I were these guys, crew chiefs, buddies, whoever, I'm sitting here over the iRacing service screaming at you, telling you, follow that 42 car, man. Kyle Milliken, I keep saying his name, but I keep saying his name for a good reason. Jeremy, he is the only one who's been able to pass cars up on the outside, not with help, mind the fact, but by himself. Imagine if Kyle Milliken here can get some guys up on that outside lane. He's got another driver right back behind him. I believe that's Robert Milliken right there, if not another driver, but they're trying currently to get up to Kyle's back bumper, but they just have no help there up on that outside lane. Got to get some help if they want to try to make their way to the front, because I guarantee you Kyle can make that happen with how strong that number 42 has been all night long so far.
That is the 42 of Robert Milliken. As he is down to the back bumper of the 42. Let's see if they can do anything. Looks like about the top 15, maybe top 20 have got their own group, and then everybody else behind them has kind of formed a second group. So 2 groups currently in packs as they cross the line to complete lap number 81. So I think we're officially now halfway done with this 250-mile event here at Atlanta. As we're going to kick it over to a quick commercial picture-in-picture mode. We'll be back with you guys after a few short messages. And welcome back to the full screen coverage here. The top 5 have really kind of spaced themselves out since we went to that commercial break. So about 3 different packs. Now we're seeing some smoke. It looked like maybe the 31, I couldn't tell midway through that secondary pack, is actually the 24 of Stephen Llewellyn. Looks like he may have touched the outside wall, caused some tire smoke, but no wreck, no harm, no foul. Looks like he's still running good there. He's on the inside of the 42 this time. Is the 42 not really holding himself up at the moment? As he does scrape the wall actually coming into turn number 1.
Yeah, that's just unfortunate there for Kyle. It's been so strong. Just not enough help on that top side like we were seeing in that side-by-side action. I mean, just a tough break for Kyle. I mean, honestly, what are you going to do, Jeremy? You know, you're trying everything you can to get to that outside lane, have guys help behind you, but just nobody wants to go with you. But I bet if it was probably towards the end of the race, guys would probably be trying to make those moves. I think that the only reason I could see some drivers not wanting to make that move that could argue my point is if, oh, why aren't you going with Kyle Milligan? He's so good up down that top side. Is, you know, these guys really don't want to risk anything. They don't want to risk being side by side. They don't want to risk it being loose in the corner. And the next thing you know, they take somebody out, and then they take themselves out in the process. But so far, I mean, you know, Kyle's been doing such a good job, and so is the field in general. Really, you know, no real yellow. Had a couple incidents here tonight. You saw the 15. He got turned earlier. I mean, that was just an unfortunate circumstance for him. You saw some other guys in the back, the 31. I remember he was around. But, you know, obviously you did talk about these guys don't throw manual yellows, and because it was below the racing surface, that is why the iRacing service did not throw an automatic caution flag. But, you know, only time's going to tell. It's getting racier and racier here as the race progresses. Some guys are getting antsy. They want to get to this front. I wouldn't be surprised if we do have an incident here later on in this race.
Yeah, as you were just talking about that, getting more racier and racier in the 15. We had the camera focus on the 15 there of Nicholas Moreau. Does not look like that nose damage is affecting him too much. Currently residing in 13th place, running the bottom there. Going through turns 1 and 2, not this time, but the time before. He got pretty checked up there on the bottom with the 24 and the 42. I thought they were going to make some form of contact, really. And thankfully they did not, and they kept it going straight. But, yeah, the 15... not out of this thing. He's out of the main pack, but really the top 5 have been on their own league at the time being 93 laps into this 163 lap event. So glad to see Moreau holding up Moreau Motorsports. The only car in the field, quick mention, Fred Moreau in the 5, he is not here tonight. We're used to seeing that guy come from the back to the front every single race. He has won your past 2 Mach-1 Performance Cup Series races, being at Vegas and at Phoenix, but this time he is AFK. And with the 97 in a wreck early, this is allowing the 15, the only Moreau Motorsports driver, to do anything with this field.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you know, he got spun out earlier. Here he is, though, you know, having a solid run back towards the front, 2.87 seconds back from those leaders. And they've broken away big time from the rest of the field from 7th, and that's Joshua Johnson, who's in front of that field. They're 2.36 seconds back currently. But yeah, Nick Moreau, though, a good recovery so far, you know, just a little past halfway, still a long way to go. He definitely has what it takes to definitely get to the front. But I tell you what, though, Jeremy, if I were Fred Moreau tonight, I would have definitely qualified, because it just goes to show you how much track position has meant here tonight.
And my producer quickly, Mayuri, saying you're a fool. Matthew Vachon, also part of Moreau Motorsports. He's in the 4th place. That guy's been super quiet, just been chilling. I don't think he was up there initially, but he's residing in 4th place right now in that 26 car. So I'm going to take that back. We got 2 Moreau Motorsports doing this thing, and the 26 being the class of the field. Then the only one up there to really inside the top 5 doing their thing. Just, you know, really fast. He's lucky to be a part of this main group, really, because these guys have been just the class of the field. I don't know if the 26 has anything, if the 33 and the 7 do possibly get around him. We'll have to see if that does become a thing, but right now the 26 getting a great push by Sherwood Williford through the quad oval here on lap 97 now. These top 5 have spaced themselves out 3 seconds over the first guy in the pack number 2, Joshua Johnson. He's in 7th place.
Oh, yeah, and I mentioned that before there, Jeremy. And look, this is the reason why. It's because they're going side by side. You see the 24 Stephen Llewellyn, the 57 of Johnson. They're just still side by side. They're getting racier and racier, and they're not making up any ground. You see the 15 almost got in to the 24. They're heading through the trial. Oh, there they go, sideways. Oh my goodness, I cannot believe they all just saved that. As for now, the 15, there they go.
Huge wreck. The 10, the 44, the 37, the 22. Looks like the 31 comes in late. The 39, Troy Torgerson. The 11 of Tony Solari. A couple other guys I haven't checked just yet, but looks like almost 10 cars in this big one on lap 98, just after the halfway point. All caused, I think, initially by the 23, maybe getting bumped by his teammate, or there's a checkup actually before that. Looks like it started with Kyle Milken on the 42 on the bottom. Just a massive domino effect of a checkup. And these guys spaced out. The 23 got loose on the apron, coming back up, and it just started piling them up from there.
Yeah, that was just a huge checkup there going into turn number 1. I saw it when I was calling it because I saw the 15 kind of go to the inside. I don't really know if he had a choice right there on the 24 machine, but he definitely checked up going into the corner, and you saw all those guys right there just scrambling, knowing that they were just getting so loose right there. You see Colton Gum in the wall, unfortunately. Lucina Leon right there in the comment section on the YouTube chat says, "Let's go Gum." Unfortunately, Gum is involved in this one, obviously, but I mean, maybe not too much damage here. Here's Chris Beck in the 44 trying to slow it down. Unfortunate circumstance, gets hit there, the 11. Big contact to the outside wall. Man, some good cars right there that were involved in that one. But hey, that's the first real incident of the night to put us under the yellow flag. And I would not be surprised, Jeremy, if we do see more of this, because cautions do breed cautions. And by the way, we are at the new Atlanta Motor Speedway, so it's probably bound to happen.
Yeah, I mean, we saw a pretty decent wreck last Wednesday, and you're seeing it here tonight. 9 total cars involved in this thing. Couple of big names there, and 51 Brandon Elder as well as one of them. Couple guys almost got so close to making it through. Chris Curtis did an excellent job. He was one of the guys in the 98. He was able to drive through it unscathed. A couple late guys coming through as well. Really good heads-up driving by, looks like the 71 of Casey McMullen, as he was trying to, one of the second packs of cars going through, had a dodge and weave the inside there toward the ball, able to get through just fine. But 9 total guys involved, maybe even 10. It's hard to tell. It's actually 9 total cars involved. Heavy impact for a lot of these guys, but it is Atlanta, like you said. Things happen here.
Yeah, that's just unfortunately the product here of this Atlanta racing. You know, ever since obviously the reconfiguration, everybody's so tight, you don't really have much room, Jeremy, to go like you would at Daytona or Talladega. I mean, you saw the back straightaway there, how narrow it is compared to, if you know as a race fan, what the back straightaway at Talladega and Daytona looks like. It's just so dang wide, and it's not very wide here, so there's very little room for error. Especially trying to avoid the wreck, and obviously the banking transition. You don't want to go down too fast because you might lose it. You don't want to go too high because, you know, obviously with how narrow it is, it's just in general, there's nowhere to go. That's the best way I can say it. This, in my opinion, is like the Dover Motor Speedway of super speedways. This is a self-cleaning racetrack driver's wreck. They slide up, they slide down. It's just part of it. And probably going to be more part of it here as the race goes on, because I doubt that we're done here tonight wrecking up some race cars. So I expect some more drama here in these next 63 laps.
Yeah, we're going to go back to green flag with 62 laps left. I'm on your page. I think we're not done seeing these guys pile it up just yet. You don't want to hear that. They've had a decent amount of cautions this past few weeks, but right now this is only their second caution tonight, so a much better turnout here. These guys up front really want to see it clean. They want to just get to the end. They don't want to have to try to restart and try to defend their position like the top 5 or top 6 have. They just had it made themselves single file, 3 seconds over separated 7th on back. Let's see if they can do it again. Green flag is out for the 3rd time. The 18 gets a better start over Richie Coy, and the 19 this time looks like he's going to take sole possession of the lead. The 17 of Steve Loomis is going to try to sneak in. Nope, actually the 19 is going to get an early side draft on the 18. The 19 is going to lead the charge here on the top and try to take that spot back for the first lead change tonight.
Yeah, and it's a race to see who's on the back bumper of who beforehand. And here we go, Richie Coy. First time of the night, we're going to see a lead change, and Richie Coy put the New Jersey native out front in that number 19 DeWalt Ford Mustang. He shoots to the top of the charts, coming to the line this time by. He'll lead that last time around, but here comes the 26. Matthew Vachon to the outside of the racetrack. He's got help from a driver who was so strong last week. Here comes Sherwood Williford to try to push him. Really racy here in these first 2 laps as they fly down the Atlanta back straightaway, heading for 3.
The top side's momentum is re-energized as 26, the 33, the 57 all want to try to do something here while they can. Side by side all the way back through the field. This time coming to the line, Matthew Vachon's going to take P1 for the second lead change tonight, and that's going to be in 2 consecutive laps here as the 19 has the nose of the 26. But right now with the 18 not in your race lead, it looks like this top lane has a little bit more of a chance.
Yeah, they're getting really stacked up there. Notice the big check up there, Jeremy, going into turn number 3. That's going to allow the bottom to roll a lot better. And also mind the fact, too, this is the first time that Talon Smith has had anybody on that front bumper of him all night long. He doesn't even really know how his car is going to handle in dirty air. So it's going to be interesting to see what Talon's going to have to do to try to get back up to the race lead, if he even has a strong enough car to try to get back to the lead as they head down the back straightaway, with Sherwood Williford pushing on the 26 and the 18 pushing on the 19 into 3 and 4.
Looks like the top 14 are starting to separate themselves from the second packs. We already have 2 separate packs here, just a few laps into this restart. And yeah, this top side right now, Matthew Vachon led 3 consecutive laps just by a mere 12 one-thousandths of a second over that 19 of Richie Coy. And Talon Smith is trying to learn what his car does now in the draft. He's not used to this like you just mentioned. He's able to suck up to the back of the 19 pretty easily, but the 33 of Williford is just helping the 26 of Vachon out quite a bit here. As they come off of turn number 4, it looks like Richie Coy might have a chance to take this lead, and he does. 3rd lead change of the night, this time going back to Richie Coy by 13 thousandths of a second.
Oh yeah, there's going to be a lot more swapping of the leads here as they go on throughout the remainder of this night here on lap 107 of 163. But here we go. That 26, Matthew Vachon, he's got the run up on the outside, but just like that, that bottom side's going to roll a lot better through the corners, but that outside lane gets the run off the corners. I tell you what, though, Jeremy, if I were Sherwood Williford, I'd be really careful pushing that number 26 of Vachon, because those Chevy noses, and especially the Toyotas a little bit, they are a little bit pointed on those nose compared to the Fords. So if you're the 18 to 33, be careful who you're pushing in front of you. The best matchups, though, are the Fords when they get hooked up, but so far, not really seeing any Fords up at the front that are hooked up together.
There's only one Ford up here in the top 5, Stephen Llewellyn in the 24. Currently in 9th place. He's your second Ford in the field. Coming across the line that time, Llewellyn up to 8th place. He's currently on the bottom. But if you notice the 18, who's definitely been the dominant car tonight, unable to make any passes happen. As long as the side-by-side is still happening, this is where it becomes a traffic jam. You cannot move. You're just kind of stuck to your lane. You have to hope that something happens, whether the outside deteriorates, whether someone gets loose, whether if you can maybe squeeze a hole temporarily, because you can't run 3 wide here too often. We even see some lap cars, they go by real quick 3 wide, and it's almost caused some mayhem. So it's just a really difficult place to get the job done here. And right now, 19 and the 26 still duking it out. Vachon takes that lead once again for the 5th lead change this evening.
Yeah, they're just duking it out for that race lead right now. Richie Coy wants to get clear of Vachon, and the 18's continuing to push his back bumper, but not that much. Still a little bit of racing here to go, this time by at the line. Lap 111 out of 163 is up on the board now. Put 110 laps behind you. Put these next few ahead of you, because it's going to get racy, boys, here as they head into turn number 2. 18 pushing that 19 really strong. Outside lanes not so lined up well. Will Richie Coy try to clear Vachon? Here they go into 3. They're getting really squirrely. Noticing the tires are starting to fall off just a little bit, but still side by side for the race lead. Nobody giving an inch here, and everybody taking as much as they can get here with these last few laps remaining.
They still have 3 extra sets of tires behind the wall if there is more cautions to fall, so they have that safety net ready for them just in case. Back to now 7 lead changes this evening. It's a complete different picture when one guy does not lead the field. How everyone now is just side by side. That really just goes to show you how Talon Smith was single-handedly just controlling the inside momentum. But the top 4, they almost look like they're wanting to start to separate from these guys in the mid pack here. Only time will tell on that. But this top 14 have really separated themselves now out by over a second and a half or so over the second pack there behind them. But the top 4 looks like they're slowly creeping away a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, they slowly are just a little bit, but those guys behind them are still able to maintain with them, Jeremy, because obviously those front 4 guys are still side by side, but they've definitely been 4 of the best drivers here all night. You might as well just call them the final 4, if you will, here at Atlanta, but we'll have to see here with these remaining laps left is if they're actually going to be those first 4 or final 4 drivers up at the front of the field, because there's still a lot of drivers here that are very, very hungry for a race win here at this recently reconfigured Atlanta Motor Speedway here on the virtual sim racing world. And it's going to get really dicey here as these last few laps wind down. But notice now, Jeremy, those 19, the 19 and the 18, they're kind of starting to push a little bit ahead of Vachon and Williford there up on that outside lane. They might be able to get clear of them here in these next few laps.
That was the help of Talon Smith in the 18, who just last time on the backstretch just tandemed the back bumper of all the paint off the 19 of Richie Coy, pushed him well in advance of the 26, able to clear him into turn 3. And this time around, you're going to see the 18 almost do the same thing, just can't get the job done. But right now, Richie Coy has the option to control the top or the bottom to try to help his chance a little bit. And we see Casey McMullen in the back to 71 get a little bit loose there in the turn number 1. Had to go down on the apron, saves it, but he's going to lose a lot of positions going from 17th, probably back to somewhere in the 25th range. We'll have to see next time by across the line. But you know, on the 18's camera here on the door panel, he got clear. They were single file. He took advantage of it, and look how fast that 18 just carries everybody with him. And it's over now. The 18 has the lead, and I think this is where he's going to reside until the next caution.
I tell you what, though, Jeremy, I was going to say down the back straightaway, he had a huge run on the 19, pulled out of line, was clear up on the outside, but now that outside lane's starting to dissipate. Richie Coy, though, says, I'm not done. He says, hey, buddy, I'm coming back for you. He's going to jump up to the outside lane, going to try to pull Josh Johnson and the 3 of Brian Bliss behind him. He's going to try to make his way out of turn number 4 and have drivers help him behind him. Here they come, side by side with Sherwood Williford. Will they catch Matthew Vachon and Talon Smith? Only time's going to tell here as they work their way out of turn number 2.
Richie Coy in the 19 wants to match that momentum the 18 did around him just a lap prior. He's like, where did all that speed come from? I'm going to try it. The 57, a really good pusher being Joshua Johnson. He's going to try to help him reside here in the top 3 or 4. Is the 19 and 33, Sherwood Williford as well. Going to be just duking it out here for that 3rd position. But the 18 is just single-handedly carrying the 26 to 33 now on the bottom here through his turns 1 and 2. Just going to string this top half of the field out. Just really impressed with how this 18 can just get the job done without any help.
I tell you what there, Jeremy, if I'm Matthew Vachon or Sherwood Williford, I'd be hooking up together, because if they get clear of this 19 car again, I would definitely try to lay off a little bit from the 18 of Talon Smith and try to get the run. You see the 19. Oh, there we go. We got one of the best.
17, Steve Loomis, hell of a job there maintaining control of his cars. He comes back up the track, still getting loose.
What a save.
Still saving it. Excellent handling there by the 17. Did not catch exactly what happened there. Maybe just a bad bump gone wrong through the quad oval, but that's going to send him back outside the top 10, probably in the 25th range, as well as we're going to catch it on Nerd TV replay. All the 57, Joshua Johnson, you saw it just as the camera switched over, came down, clipped the 17's nose. That should have spun out most other drivers, but the 17, Steve Loomis, hell of a job, man.
Yeah, that was definitely a hell of a job there for that save. And what a job by our producer Dustin catching all the action there. As you see right there, just an unfortunate circumstance. You think you're clear and you're not. Cuts right down on the number 17. But what a job for saving it by Steve Loomis. Unfortunate end to his night more than likely, unless something were to happen up in that top 5 all night long. Now he's back all the way in about 21st, 22nd position here. But that's just an unfortunate go for him as Richie Coy's back up at the front of the field here now.
And that has really just strung out the field. That one little incident there inside the top 10 has brought, what, the 9th or 10th top drivers single file. You're not really until about 10th on back where you're starting to see some double file action still happening with the 23 and the 14. The first 2 cars to be doing that. They're actually in 12th and 13th rather. So being inside on the bottom now begs the question, who's going to go back to the top and try it? You know, we saw it happen with a couple of drivers. They're able to do it. They just need a massive amount of help. We don't see the 42 in position to do that. So who's going to be the next guy to do it? Looks like maybe Brody Hannon, the 23.
Yeah, Brody Hannon has been a driver who's been slowly climbing up into the top 10 here. He is plus 21, especially Brian Bliss in the number 3 machine, plus 24. Those 2 drivers have pretty much started in the second half, if not further back at the start of this race. Now 123 laps up, completed on the board now on lap 124. They've made their way up into the top 10 pretty much. And we're going to have to see if any drivers want to join them up top. I'm going to have to see the 3. Brian Bliss jumps up to the top side. He wants a part of that. Going to try to follow the number 39 machine of Troy Turgerson there. And it's just going to be interesting to see if they can make their way up to the field. But if anybody, here comes Richie Coy. He wanted a part of it. He jumped up to the outside lane. He's going to have to try and make his way back up to the 18's back bumper, because those 2 guys have pretty much been friendly rivals all night long, if you want to say. And here goes Matthew Vachon, Jeremy, trying to make the outside lane work, but Talon Smith blocks him going into 3.
The 23 and the 19, that is 2 drivers of Fury Motorsports. They are trying to hook up. The 23 surprised me to how fast he was able to actually jump inside the top 5 by going to the top half of the track. He jumped like 4 or 5 spots that last lap alone, so he now resides in 4th place. But yeah, the 18, he is so good at what he's doing right now. He is controlling the momentum. He hugs the bottom until he sees that major push on the top. He goes to the top, doesn't block too harshly, but he goes to the bottom, and he allowed the 19 to go around with the 23, who all of a sudden out of middle of nowhere decides, hey, I probably have one of the fastest cars tonight. Single-handedly pushes the 19, so Fury Motorsports out of nowhere now going to take this thing 1 and 2.
Yeah, I don't know why the 18 of Talon Smith decided to go down low there in turn number 3. I'm assuming he probably thought that those guys behind him, because I believe up to Wayne Grossi, they got a single file there up on the top side, probably thought that they were all going to migrate down to the bottom side of the racetrack into 3. But the 18 just went all by himself, and the 19, the 23 just pushed their way and said, bye-bye. See you later, buddy. And they put him all the way back in the 3rd spot. But that's good. That's what they got to do, because everybody's been riding behind Talon Smith all race long. You got to try to shuffle him out. I want to say something, and I think that 18 is probably the strongest car out here tonight. If you want to win this race, you're going to have to try to shuffle him out if you want to win this race here tonight, because he's been so strong here tonight in Atlanta.
The plan might be for him to space him or this group of 7 or 8 cars out away from the secondary pack, and then take the 7 of Wayne Grossi with you to the top half of the track. I think that might be a race-winning move to put the 18 back up into the front. I'll have to give a quick shout-out to one of our partners, this time going to the Butt Kicker. Innovative hardware and software designed to give passionate gamers a deeper level of gaming immersion. The Gamer 2 unit is the standard in sim racing immersion, giving gamers or sim racers haptic transducer feedback, which easily attaches to any center post of a gaming chair or sim rig, and it'll give you that much needed feel from the car. The drivers really need to perform at their peak performance, so see their entire product line at thebuttkicker.com. Going back to the field, still single file for looks like the first 10 to 12 cars in this pack before double file is continuing to go on, and actually the rest of the field goes single file. So real quickly, we saw a lot of double file, just straight to single file there, Jason.
Yeah, but I guarantee you, though, Jeremy, they're planning out getting to lap 162, making a move to get to lap 163. I mean, if you're the 18, I'd try to get back up to the front as quickly as possible. You know you have the car to do it. You know everybody's been struggling to try to pass you here tonight. You know that drivers are going to follow you because of how good you've been here tonight. Saw that last time around. He tried to duck to the outside of Brody Hanna. But man, Richie Coy is going to be one hard driver for Talon Smith to try to pass because, like I said earlier, that's been pretty much his friendly rival all night long. He is putting up a fight, and he does not want to give this win away to Talon Smith here as they work their way into turns 1 and 2.
Steve makes a little aggressive move underneath the 57 to take over that spot. It's going to put him up into 6th place as they all quickly go back to single file here as they got about 31 laps to go as they get to the line this time. So probably one last pit stop, most likely going to happen under green flag situation. And then these guys need to figure out from that point, hey, what do I need to do to get myself in that race winning position? Do I need to pit early? Do I need to pit late? Who do I have with me? This is a super speedway. So if you have some friends like the 23 and the 19 all of a sudden have for the first time tonight, this might be the way to do it. And you got to go down to speed real quick. We saw the truck race this past Wednesday. We're coming down to pit road. We had 1 or 2 trucks trying to lock it up, trying to get down to the speed before the yellow cone and caused a wreck. So it is quite chaotic when these guys try to pit in a big group of cars, and we might see that again tonight.
Yeah, well, also, not to mention the fact, Jeremy, these guys don't have the same commitment line as the Trucks Xfinity and Cup Series in real life did. You're going to see right here as they head down the back straight as the 18 look to go out of line. Right there, heading into 3, there was a commitment box right there heading into 3 because they thought that if they were to have green flag racing, which we did see in the Cup race this past Sunday, if they were to pit coming off turn 4 like your traditional mile-and-a-half track, that because of the speed, it was just going to create chaos. Obviously, no incidents besides speeding penalties heading onto pit road in the Cup race on Sunday. But without that commitment line heading into turn 3 on the apron here in the iRacing world, it's going to create an interesting scenario here if these guys do indeed have to pit during a green flag run here, like it might just be, because you're going to have to get down to speed very quickly heading through the middle of 3 and 4 and then get down to that apron at a super high rate of speed. Going to be interesting to see, though, Jeremy, if these guys are going to be able to get through green flag pit stops unscathed, but I would like to say that's probably doubtful.
Yeah, we saw the truck race. There was a big group of trucks, and then one of the guys in the front decided to make that late dive to pit road and just could not get woed up and got pile driven to the back of, which caused a big wreck. But these guys are a lot more spaced out. Probably won't see it. The 18 is really trying to get the outside momentum going here with the 7, but the 7 wants nothing of it. The 18 tried it. The 23 put a little block on. The 7 now of Wayne Grossi is going to try to pass Talon Smith on the bottom. Sherwood Williford now has a decision to make. Do I go with this really fast guy, or do I go with someone I've worked with for over a year and a half now in this league? Which one do I do? And he does neither. He backs up. He lets the 18 Talon Smith down to the bottom. He's going to take 4th place, and it's going to cause a big gap between the 33 and the 18. Hopefully it's not too big of a gap, but Sherwood Williford playing it easy with under 30 laps to go.
I'm kind of honestly surprised, Jeremy, why he let the 18 there in. Maybe just because he didn't want to, have any trouble. But the 18's fast. Shuffle him out to the back, just like I was saying. He's the fastest car out here. He has what it takes to get back to the race lead, probably by himself. I mean, why he let him gut in line right there on the inside of the racetrack, I don't know why, because not only that, look at the guys behind him. They were kind of making some ground up, but now that they got that those front 5 cars situated, now they're kind of starting to make headway and extend that gap. But when they were side by side, that 24 machine of Stephen Llewellyn and that pack behind him, they were closing super, super fast. So they definitely don't want to get side by side again, because it was definitely causing some controversy. You see the 57 here trying to go to the outside lane. This is just going to hurt these guys' momentum to try to get back to those first 5 guys.
These 5 guys have separated themselves, and as long as they stay single file, this will be the battle for the race lead. Probably headed up into the the pit road scenario of when these guys have to pit. I'm not sure what that fuel mileage looks like, so stay tuned on that. But right now, just a huge separation. Already a 2.5 seconds after these guys got a little bit of a distance on them. I think that 33, when he backed up a little bit for the 18, it almost seemed like it checked up that second group of cars. It really allowed this top 5 to string out here. 18 is still dipping his nose out a little bit, but he's on the main secondary pack here, led by the 57 of Joshua Johnson. That's 6th through about 12th or 13th right there. It's just really, really good run here by the 57, I would say. 7 in the 26 leading the way. So at least they got a good car for what they're in the top 10.
Yeah, they're really strong guys when they're up in front of this field. As you see right there, oh my goodness. Not too sure that was the 24 right there. Stephen Llewellyn almost got turned right there by the 42, it looked like, of Kyle Milliken. That would have been an unfortunate event there for him to go plowing his way through the infield grass there. It's so well kept and maintained here by the Atlanta Motor Speedway group on the virtual iRacing server. Throwing a little joke there. But yeah, I mean, these guys, they've been so strong up at the front of the field. You talked about the 57 and the 26 being so strong. And Kyle Milliken with a nice save there. Looked like he had some help there from the 98 machine of Chris Curtis. That could have been big, but it just goes to show you these guys keep racing. They're just going to keep on letting those front five just break out ahead further and further. If these guys want to make headway towards the front, they got to get single file.
It is 20 laps to go. It is go time for these guys. You are clearly seeing the back half of the field and even the front half that's now live on your screen. The 18 once again trying to do something because he knows time is dwindling away. Under 20 laps to go now. The second group is really starting to pick up the heat, so to speak, as they are all nothing but side by side for the most part, headed down the back stretch entering turn number 3. And I think we're actually seeing a little bit of 3 wide here through turn 3 with the 26, the 14, and the 15 of Moreau coming through turns 4. The 24 of Llewellyn also makes it 3 wide. Almost caught some contact there with the 39. Going through turn 1 and 2, still 3 wide.
Man, these guys are making my heart skip a beat, even in the virtual world. You see the 24, 3 wide in the middle with Troy Torgerson on the outside lane. And then there's Kyle Milliken on the bottom. Gotta be easy doing that. 3 wide has been a troublesome spot here. And they're going to, oh my goodness, they're going to get back 2 wide racing. I really thought they were going to wad them up there going into turn number 3. And shout out to the 14 of Stephen Allen. What a move to the outside. Had a huge run down the back straightaway. Made it 3 wide, and he was able to clear them off turn number 4 there to pick up a couple spots. These guys have been super racy. You got to think, though, Jeremy, with 18 laps to go, something's got to give. Unfortunately, karma might just strike them here. The more they race, the more likely they are to wreck.
And they're all but there. I thought with that 3 wide, there might have been something with the Llewellyn move, especially going on to the trial or a quad oval, but nothing happened there. So these guys have a grip on their car this late into the run. Kind of surprised me there, but as they keep trucking along here with about 18 laps to go, 17 laps to go, somewhere in that ballpark. Super racy. The 14S falling back after making that move. He just can't have any momentum on the top side as the bottom has all the speed in this second group here. As the 18 and the 33 headed back temporarily to the top group, they've kind of left the top 3 here as they've got about a few car lengths advantage.
Yeah, I'm noticing. So, we got Kyle Milliken just went sideways there going into turn number 1. He's going to wad him up, and this might bring out a Roasted Gems yellow, and it's going to. Big wreck going into turn number 2. Kyle Milliken involved. 98 of Chris Curtis. Man, oh man.
Third caution of the night, and this time it's brought out by Kyle Milliken in contact with the 24 of Llewellyn. It almost looks like Milliken didn't realize the 24 was going to stay about midway up the track, and the 42 came up a little bit higher and said, boop, right to the left rear quarter panel, and you're going to catch it here on the Nerd TV replay, well, at least after we see the 14 slow with a lot of wheel damage, that being Stephen Allen, just unable to complete that drive to pit road here. We're going to try to get a good angle to wreck here, as this is about midway through. You're seeing multiple cars piled up to the outside of the wall. The 14, that's where his wheel damage came, which, if his left front wheel got hit, why is his right wheel broken?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, that's just because they hit so hard, probably knocked out a toe link more than likely. And those wheels, they fall off so easily here, especially on the iRacing server with these NASCAR. I guess you could call them the Gen 7 now, because they're not really the next gen now that we've had a year under our belts with these cars, both in real life and the virtual sim racing world. But yeah, right there, when we were coming down into turn number 1, saw the camera cut, I saw Kyle Milliken get really sideways there. Looked like he was going to save it going into 1, and unfortunately just wadded them all up. You see the 4, Chad Lang's involved. other drivers. This also now, Jeremy, is going to change the picture completely of this race here with just less than about 18 laps to go.
The number 7 of Wayne Grossi, the 18 of Talon Smith stayed out. So your new leader for the night is going to be the 7 of Wayne Grossi. He's going to lead these guys to the green flag with under 10 laps to go in this event when they do go back to green, or maybe even at 10 laps to go. So that all in alone is going to change how things are going to happen. This will give a true test of how much tire wear this track produces on a long green flag run. I thought maybe these guys all had to pit, but apparently not. They were able to stretch their field miles a little bit more. Jason, you don't know that my playbook absolutely is atrocious, but 718 are going to really stretch this thing thin. But I'm really curious now to see what these guys did, like the 19 of Richie Coy when they got their sets of tires on. How much extra speed are they going to carry around these corners?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, this is going to be the first real test. I mean, I called the broadcast over at LSR TV last week when the trucks and the Xfinity Series were over at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, and tire wear played such a big factor. When these guys over in the Northwest Truck Series, they didn't pit, and they had restarts like they're about to, and now the fact that the 718 are on the oldest tires, the last time they pitted was lap 99. These guys just pitted, so they're fresh out of the box here with some new tires. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see here on this restart. They might have just pitted, though. Not too sure. The leaderboard's currently showing them going down to the bottom, but I believe they didn't. Talon Smith is still out front. No, they did not pit. But, oh my goodness, if you're going to have one driver on this front row and now two, I mean, hell's going to break loose completely, because you're going to have guys probably spinning the tires here, especially being in such a low gear. Being a 5-speed sequential gearbox, I mean, it's just really hard to tell. I expect to see some wheel spin here, and I guarantee the 7 and 18 right now, they're probably thinking to themselves, man, what did we do? Because the entire field, all the way back to 19th of Alan Crowell, last pit on lap 99, those guys all have fresh tires behind them. This is going to be interesting here with 12 laps to go.
And just quick shout out to John Thompson, who was your Martin Sports hashtag Get a Grip Lucky Dog Award winner. As you saw him last lap getting his lap back. That's going to put him back onto the lead lap. 23 drivers will resume this restart on the lead lap. And yeah, this is going to be a huge test to the 7 and 18, how much tire wear these guys have. They're going to take the green flag actually with 12 laps remaining in this 163 lap event here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway 200. Green flag is out. The 7 with a really terrible restart allows the 18 of Talon Smith to get an excellent jump and to temporarily clear the 7 here. The 23 of Brody Hanna pushing hard on the back of the 18, trying to clear the 7 to make that move to the bottom. Could not make it happen. Checks up the 23. It's going to allow the 7 now to close up back to the 18. 18 once again in a comfortable position.
And that was what we were talking about there. The 7 and the 18, we're going to have some type of wheel spin. Unfortunately, the 7 got the short end of the stick there in the restart zone. And here comes the 19, Richie Coy, the first one with the freshest tires. He's got the 33 of Sherwood Williford, Brody Hanna behind him as they all get squirrely behind him now. 11 laps to go, closing in. Here comes Sherwood Williford to the inside of the racetrack, fighting for that third spot right there on Richie Coy. They got to get past the 7 and the 18 as quick as they can if they're staying side by side like this, because they know they have the fresher tires and they know those two out front are struggling on grip.
7 and 18 look like they're not any slower than what they were before that caution break, other than the 33 holding them up temporarily. The 19, 23 nosed a bumper coming off a turn 4 with a huge head of steam. Here's their, the 18 blocks huge. And here we go, the big one, the 19, 23, a bunch of guys, 10 plus people in this wreck as they're still piling up into turn number 1 with 10 laps remaining. The second big one of this evening caused by a huge block on the 18's part to protect that position.
Wow. My, oh my. Boy, oh boy. This changes the complexion of everything as we get a Nerd TV replay here. 19, you see him just struggling to try to get through here. More than likely done here for the night. And now we're about to see guys up at the front of the field who we haven't seen all night. Saw right there. 18, big block. I'm going to tell you what. I'm not really too pleased with the 18's block there. Talon Smith should have known better. I know it's late in the race, man, but you know you're on older tires. You know that the outside lane is coming with a head of steam. I wouldn't have even bothered trying to block with how fast his car has been. And here we go, Jeremy. We're going to get a better replay here. Shout out to Dustin pushing all the buttons here tonight. Some great camera angles, great replay here. And you're going to see as they come off turn number 4, the 18. I saw right here when you were calling it, the 19 and 23 got hooked up big time, had a big run. 18 threw a really big block, barely got clear, hit the wall, caused the field to check up. 19, 7, 26, 23, so many good cars, Jeremy, taken out in the really, really big one of the night here, heading into turn 1 with just 11 to go.
I went back into telemetry, and there was a 6-mile-an-hour difference between the 18 and the 19 when they made that contact. You got to give credit to the 18 for wanting to, do anything possible for that victory. But when you have such a huge discrepancy in speed, you just have to take your loss. You have to go, you know what, these guys are going to take it from the top side. But the 18, though, he was like, I've had such a dominant car all night. I want this win. He just made that decision to go to the top really too late. And then when the 19 made that bump, it shifted the 19 down low into the side of the 7. And that's when that huge pileup ensued, taking out everybody. I did see on board, though, the 19, after all the cars had settled down, showing a little displeasure there in pit road, as he's continued to block the 18's pit exit here. We'll have to see what that looks like. I'm surprised the 18 came down, though. I guess he had some side damage to take care of, but one of the few cars to escape from this. And Richie Coy clearly unhappy with this situation.
I mean, can you blame him? I mean, the guy threw a block coming down the front straightaway with a 6 to 7 mile an hour difference. I mean, listen, I get it. We've all been there as iRacers and even real life racers where you want to make sure that you can block and you want to throw the block at the right time. And unfortunately, I think if the 18 could have done it maybe 2 to 3 seconds earlier than what he did, I would have probably given him a little bit more of a break. I get it. 11 laps to go. You're going balls to the wall. You want to try to get that win because you've been the strongest car here tonight. But when you have the guys up on the outside lane with fresher tires there, as you see, he looks like he's done for the night. I believe the 18 has parked it there. You saw his car disappear. It looks like he has exited the vehicle as Richie Coy continues to do burnouts. But, man, Jeremy, we're going to have guys up at the front we haven't really seen up in the top 5 and top 10. Justin Dill to the 91 plus 24. He's going to restart 5th. Jonathan Vachon, Stephen Llewellyn here. Ryan Chapman all the way up to 2nd plus 22 from where he started. Alan Crowell, Casey McMullen, Steve Loomis back up there after that save earlier on. Man, and you could just see that took out about half the field, Jeremy. This is going to be one for the ages here, and they're going to restart with 6 to go.
You weren't here on Wednesday, but this Ryan Chapman guy, this guy started in the back of the truck race, hung out to about, maybe 2/3 of the way through, 30, 40 laps to go, and all of a sudden he found himself in the top 5 and into the podium out of the nowhere, right? Completely out of nowhere. And this is more of the case. The 27 did not look like he had any speed sitting back there 15th through 25th, somewhere in that range, just quietly. Haven't talked about him at all other than the starting grid. Just doing things quietly, avoiding his wrecks, and once again, 2 weeks in a row, within 10 laps to go, we were finding him in position number 2 as the green flag does fly. This allows the 33 of Williford all of a sudden. He's had the fastest car in this set of cars right here all night long that is left over. So the 33 might have a great chance here as they head off into turn number 1 with 6 laps remaining. He's going to run temporarily right in the middle of this 2 group and eventually down to the bottom to help the 24 along on the bottom here as they're starting to scramble around the backstretch.
Yeah, scrambling 2, 3 wide. Here comes the 27, though. Chapman to the outside of the racetrack. He's going to have help with the 97 of John Vachon right there up on the outside of the racetrack. Also help with Alan Crowell this time by the line. 5 laps to go. Sherwood Williford, he's going to get cleared right there by Ryan Chapman going in the 1. Put the 27 to the top of the board. Ryan Chapman trying to steal one away here late in the going at the virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway as if Sherwood Williford wants this race back. Here he comes into turn number 3 on the back bumper.
He needs to go to the top if he wants to pass this 27. 27 out of nowhere now takes the race lead. This guy does finish podium. I don't even know what I'm going to ask him, just because we asked the same question last week, and here he is again. So the two-car breakaway, the 33 and the 27. Now the 97 of Jonathan Vachon, who got involved in that very first wreck before the stage break. He is now on the top three, just on the outside of the 24 of Stephen Llewellyn, who's also in his better running position tonight.
Yeah, if I think the 33, though, if he wants to try to get around the 27, he's going to have Stephen Llewellyn, who's almost clear of the 97, almost puts him up in the wall there. He's going to have the 24 have a massive run or try to jump up to the outside lane with John Vachon there in the number 97 if he wants to get around the 27. But so far, those two kind of breaking away. But here comes Stephen Llewellyn. Here comes the help that Sherwood needs down the back straightaway. What's he going to do? He's got to run to the back bumper into turn 3. One car out of line. Justin Dilts to the outside of the racetrack looking for the lead.
Trying to be the hero here. Gets side by side the 24, and you can see how much that slows the 24 up. The inside lane gets completely bogged when that side draft hits your car. It's going to have the 27 to 33 to go 3 car lengths over third place here temporarily, but the 24 does get clear of the 91. It's going to allow a great launch with the draft help down the backstretch. 33 is going to look high. Joe low real quick. Not going to do anything with it, though. It's going to check up the 24 temporarily, and here comes Justin Dilts back on the top of the 91.
Yeah, they're coming around this time by, Jeremy, for the white flag. See a little bit of damage there on the 24. Here they come this time by. 1 lap to go here. Final lap at Atlanta. Sherwood Williford looking for a race win here tonight at Atlanta. He's been so strong here on the back bumper of Ryan Chapman, trying to get to the outside. He's got the run. Question is, will he have help? Wrecking in the back. They're side by side for the final time in a 3.
Massive wreck, no caution yet. 33 Williford just squeezes into the 27's front there. Takes the spot. The 33 coming off of turn number 4 for the final time.
Oh.
It's the 27. Ryan Chapman does take the checker flag as the 33 does cross the line in 5th place coming to the line. I know he cut that block a little too close, but an unnecessary bump there through the tri-oval. Ryan Chapman, though, does take the checker flags.
Man, I said right there, as he was coming in as if bad juju there on the 27 of Ryan Chapman for turning the 33. But honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, I think the 33 might have cut him off a little bit here. We're going to have to see on the replay. But if that was the case, congratulations to Ryan Chapman. What a drive by him to stay really quiet all night long and come home with this win. We'll have to see here when we do get the race replay, though, to see what happened.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you. I went back to, we're going to see it officially on the Nerd TV replay, but I'm seeing the same thing you are. 27 had the nose, the 33 right there. Didn't make contact. 27 had the lane there. The 33 came down, coming through the dog leg and just cut it a little too close. Ryan Chapman knows the rules. You cannot go above the double white line here at Atlanta per FTSR rulebook. So he knew to hug that white line. The 33, you see a little bit slow motion here. No contact, has the position, not much, but he has it. The 33 comes down just a touch bit more, and there he goes. It sends him around. So in the heat of the moment, it looked like it was maybe the 27's fault, but I think I'm going to agree with you. I think it's the 33 that caused that one.
Yeah, well, that's the interesting thing, Jeremy, because for the iRacing rulebook, obviously now not related to the leagues, but with the iRacing rulebook, it is completely legal to go down below that line. So that's probably why myself, and including maybe other few viewers, were probably maybe thinking to themselves, oh man, you know, the 27 looked like he didn't even bother to use that apron there, and he just totally wiped the 33 out, but that's not the case because of the rule book. It states right there with the rules that you cannot advance your position below that that red line right there, or double yellow if you're at Daytona and Talladega, and you cannot force somebody down there. Unfortunately, the 33 just left the door a little too open there, and it was just enough for Ryan Chapman to get through on the bottom side of the racetrack, and he held his ground. So shout out to Ryan Chapman for picking up the win here tonight and following the rules, and also really just, he didn't want to give up. I don't blame him. You don't lift. You drive. You try to block, you're not lifted.
That's exactly a chaotic finish to this Atlanta 200 or 250 rather at FTSR. Going over the complete finishing results, unofficial of course until penalties are handed out. There might be a couple after this one's all over with. Ryan Chapman takes home first place. Steve Loomis going to bring it home in second. Casey McMullen, we haven't talked to him in quite some time. We'll see if we get a word with him. He's going to finish in third. Chad Lang, fourth. Sherwood Williford ends up in fifth. Ryan Hedrick, sixth place. Josh Mayu, seventh. Jonathan Vachon ends up in eighth. Ninth place, Robert Miliken. And the top 10, Brian Bliss.
Yeah, and then the round out your top 20, you have Kyle Milliken after being so strong all night. Just shy of a top 10, coming home 11th tonight. Shout out to Kyle, did so good here tonight. Timothy Stubblefield comes home 12th. Stephen Llewellyn comes home 13th after a solid run tonight. Alan Crowell comes home 14th. Justin Diltz, after being strong in those last few laps, tried to make something work up on the outside lane going into turn number 4 there. Finishes 15th. James Torrey there finishes 16th in that number 6 machine. Very quiet night, 1 lap down. James Wallace, I'd take 17th if I were him because he was in the back all race long, surprisingly. And Troy Torgerson right there finishes 18th. 19th, you have John Thompson. And then Wayne Grossi, after a strong performance here tonight, caught up in that late race wreck. He rounds out your top 20.
21st, Chris Curtis. 22nd, Talon Smith. Running that dominant race all day, and just one block puts you outside the top 20. 23rd place, Joshua Johnson. 24th, Brody Hanna. 25th, Richie Coy. 26th, Nicholas Moreau. 27th, Matthew Vachon. 28th place, Lane Allen. 29th, Chris Beck. 30th place, Brandon Elder. 31st, Brian Dublé. 32nd, Tony Solari. 33rd, Colton Gum. 34th, Jeff Chandler. 35th, Colby Mice, and to round out the 36th place car, number 8 of Ryan Hoover. And we're going to take a quick full page commercial break, get these top 3 wound up for you guys to talk to. We'll be back after a few short messages. And welcome FTSR and Nerd TV fans for the Martin Sports Post-Race Show, where we're going to bring in the top 3 for tonight's crazy and exciting Atlanta 250. Some names you probably didn't expect for us to talk to at the end of this thing, but here we are, and we got them ready for you guys. Third place is going to be Casey McMullen, someone we haven't talked to in quite some time, driver of the number 71 Blackwater machine. Casey McMullen, do you have a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
How did you end up in the podium spot, man? That was impressive. You drove through that wreck that happened about, I think, 40 or 50 laps to go on the backstretch. You were the second group of cars to come through, and you barely missed that toward the wall side of the track. And then mayhem ensued again when the 18 put a block on the field. You drove through that, and then here you are sitting in third place. So just how did you make it here?
Well, I just do what I usually do with super speedways. Just hang around, usually in the back. But I started from the pits tonight, so I had to get a lap back. That was kind of a battle. I got a little lucky with a caution, and it's just getting through the wrecks and everything. It's all crapshoot here.
Yeah, Casey, good job, man, on your third place run tonight after a chaotic one there in those last few laps. Question for you I have. You said you came back after starting on pit road there and you were basically one lap down. You said, we noticed a lot of drivers getting very loose there during the green flag runs. Was handling an issue tonight? Because those guys, when they were out front, were lights out and they were gone. And when everybody was side by side, seems like tire wear played a factor. What's your take, though, tonight on the handling?
The handling, our team had a pretty good car. We didn't really have any issues. It's just side drafting. Whenever guys would get on your quarter panel, would slow both lanes down. That's how I think those guys got out there. But uh, I don't know. We had a good handling car, so I didn't have any issues.
I didn't see any issues from your 71 car all night long. You drove a pretty solid race as far as the handling is concerned. You did some awesome maneuvers to avoid all the wrecks to find yourself in third place tonight. So the floor is yours. Who'd you like to thank out there watching Nerd TV?
Well, we'll start with the wife and the kids. Thank them, and thank Blackwater Products USA, Steve Barry, and everybody on our team here. We work together pretty great. So, congrats to the winner. And I was hoping to push Steve up there when he got a second place. So I'm excited about that. And thank God.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate all the kind words. Go ahead and celebrate tonight, man. Not expected, but still well earned after all the maneuvers you did to earn that top three spot.
Thanks, guys. You do such a good job. We'll see you next time.
Appreciate that, man. Yep. Have a good night. And that was the driver of the number 71 Blackwater Machinist. We're trying to get now second place finisher near Steve Loomis as I can get him to switch channels. See if I can get him in here. Are we able to drag the number 17 in here? There's a little bit of a lag delay on our voice channel here. There he is, number 17, Steve Loomis, driver of the 17 machine. How's it going tonight?
I don't know if Steve's here.
Steve, do you have a copy? Looks like temporarily we don't. We're going to try to get in contact with Chapman first and see if we can maybe talk to him. I know it's a little early, Dustin. We're going to have to bring out the victory lane here because we got the 27 now in the chats. Mr. Ryan Chapman, do you have a copy?
I do, guys. How you doing?
Ryan, we got to talk, man. We got to. So Wednesday, I asked you the same questions. I don't know if I can repeat those questions. You were like 20th place, maybe the entire race, maybe up to 15th at most. And then things once again just happened in front of you, and once again you drove through it all. So you're just the guy to root for when you're trying to go through all these wrecks. So how was the car feeling for you? Like, was your goal to stay in the back and just hang out, wait for things to happen like they did on Wednesday, or like what was the game plan going to this thing?
Basically, just wanted to chill out at the beginning, kind of just feel out the field and kind of understand how everyone was running. They're getting shaky up there at first, so it kind of just laid back with a few of the teammates, kind of just hung out and just rode around for a little bit. We lost the pack there a little bit, but we were able to get back up. First off, I do want to apologize to Sherwood. He had a great run. Um, I hate to take him at or to connect with him, but I was going for the first cup win, man. And when it comes down to these last two laps, you can't lift, so you just got to go for it. And he came down for a block, and we connected, and that's how that all happened. But yeah, we just kind of rode around back, kind of chilled out, and then as it started ticking down, we started moving our way up, and just kind of hung around 20th, 15th place and just waited for like those last, I think, where was I in 10th? Probably like 15 laps to go and 13 laps to go. And then that's when we were just like, okay, we're going for it. And everyone started moving up, and I just started moving forward.
Yeah, Ryan, man, congrats on the win. I don't blame you, because I was sitting here saying to Jeremy during the posters, I was like, man, I can't believe these guys aren't using the apron during the race. And then I see that you took out the 33, and I was like, man, he took him out. And then I realized that the rules stated you were not allowed to go below that line. So shout out to you for holding your standing your ground, staying in the throttle, because I don't blame you, man. I wouldn't have lifted either. But
Exactly. And
yeah,
that's
exactly, man. But the thing is that I wanted to ask you, but Sherwood obviously was really strong last week, and obviously coming up short tonight, he comes home fifth. Was there any kind of altercation afterwards, maybe after the race, during the comm chat or anything like that?
I just straight up after we crossed the finish line, I straight up apologized to him. I was like, "Hey, look, man, we can't go below that line. So I mean, if I seem like I'm at his quarter, my eyes, I'm not lifting. I mean, I'm trying to win for my team. I'm trying to get our team up there in points. I've had some really rough races, so we really needed this one. And if I was able to go below that line, I wouldn't even have touched him, and we probably still would have grabbed the win. But in that case, I needed to keep my tires above that line. So my whole goal was to just stay on that line. If he came down, he came down. If he was clear, I would have let him win. But I was at his quarter. I had to defend. I had to try to win. So that's what happens. It's super speedway racing. But again, not my intention to come wreck people. I mean, you guys see me race. I try to race everyone clean as possible. But in that case, we're going for the win.
Yeah, you did a great job, and you did nothing wrong. The tires were glued to that red and white line, so good job overall. And congratulations on the win. Um, just impressive how you're able to do this out of nowhere once again, both times at Atlanta, to find yourself in the podium here. Well-earned trophy for you. The floor is yours, though. Who's out there watching Nerd TV you love to thank this evening?
My dad's out there watching. He's been watching all of our truck races, some of our cup races. My mom, she's been supporting me also. The team overall, elevated esports. They've just been so great helping us with the setups, getting them all keen, and doing all that stuff. But most of all, our sponsors, SimMotion, for hooking us up with the wheelbases, helping us get all of our stuff all dialed in. 213 Simwear, who represents our clothing company that we have out now. Um, who else we got? We got RC Gaming, Elevated Outdoors, just so many people that help us get this team rolling and see what happens next, man. But yeah, that was a heck of a race.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Excellent race from our perspective here in the booth, and congratulations once again on bringing home first place. Going on celebrate with that team, man. Job well done.
Thank you, fellas, and also you guys putting this on. I can't thank you guys enough.
I appreciate that, man.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. And that was your first place position there, Mr. Ryan Chapman in the 27. We're going to try to bring in Steve Loomis one last time to see if we got any vocals from him. Mr. Steve Loomis, this is Nerd TV. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you now.
Hey, congratulations on the second place there. Out of nowhere, there's a lot of drama that happened in the last 20 to 30 laps there. You're able to make it through, bring home second place there in that 17 car. But you had the front for the most part, too. So it wasn't like you were gifted anything. You just kind of held your ground there. Really clean race overall. What was your game plan going into Atlanta tonight?
Oh, getting a good qualifying run, which I did, starting on the inside row and P5, and then just planning myself there and staying in line and waiting till the end.
Yeah, Steve, man, good job on your second place run tonight. You were up at the front, like Jeremy just said, most of the night. We saw going through the quad oval there. I want to say right past the start finish line, you basically lost it, and you saved it. What was going through your mind there, man, when you got turned right into the infield grass? Because that was one hell of a save there going into one, and you almost came back up and wiped out the field, but you were able to just dirt track it down on the apron there.
Well, yeah, that was my main concern, is not to be that guy that comes back up and does a lot of damage. So, it just reflects. You don't know what you're doing. You're just doing the best you can to not cause any issues. And fortunately, by the time I gathered it up, got on the track, look who's behind me, but two of my teammates. So they were able to grab a few positions. And then that last caution came out. Some really good cars, unfortunately, were involved in that caution I'm talking about there. Uh, so that just gave us a whole bunch of spots there.
Yeah, it sure did. And you did it. Yeah, with that spin out there, that potentially could have gone really wrong. Excellent job there on the wheel. That natural instinct kicked in, I guess, and a little bit of skill there. I wouldn't count it all toward luck, but you're able to do a job well done saving it and bring it home second place. The floor is yours. Who would you like to thank out there watching their TV tonight?
Well, we'll start with sponsor Steve Barry at Blackwater Products USA. You can check out their patriotic products at their website, Blackwater Products USA. And then the rest of my team, we have a very supportive team. Casey McMullen came in P3, and Sherwood, who was just feet away from having the win there. So that's three Blackwater drivers there in the top five. That's pretty good. So hats off to them. Brandon, we call him the professor. He makes our setups and everything. Much value to this whole team. And Brian Bliss, another team member. Everybody getting along and working together.
Definitely takes a team for leagues like this to bring it home in any type of good finishing position. So, congratulations once again, Mr. Steve, and have a good rest of your night.
All righty, guys. Good job on the broadcast. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate that. Have a good night. And that's the number 17, Mr. Steve Loomis, bringing it on for podium position for the first time tonight. And Jason, that's going to wrap up Atlanta 250. Crazy, crazy race. What did you think overall?
Man, what a race, honestly. It kind of played out just like the actual Cup race yesterday afternoon. And I mean, congratulations to Ryan Chapman once again. Shout out to him for holding his ground, and Sherwood, on unfortunate circumstances, so close again after having such a strong car last week, coming up short too as well, and then comes up short today just by really, honestly, I hate to say it, but really just he was the cause of his own downfall right there in the last 50 yards coming to the start and finish line. He was just so strong. 27 had a big run, and unfortunately just left the door open just a little too much for the 27. He said, hey, I wasn't lifting, man. I was going to hold my ground. That's what he did. And unfortunately turned the 33 there, but what a race. A lot of respect out there today. The only thing that bothered me tonight probably was the block with the 18 car. That was really unfortunate to see so many good cars torn up that late in the run after working that hard. Even the 18 himself working that hard to maintain the amount of laps that he led, the ground he had on the entire field. I mean, that car probably was going to finish top 3 if it weren't for that bad block there late in the run. But, I mean, what are you going to do? Typical super speedway racing, you're going for the win. And that's the thing, though. Some of these guys, you love it, you hate it. Unfortunately, it's the way that the new Atlanta's probably going to be for the next few years until it gets some wear into it.
You got to make some bold moves to hold your ground there, and that was just a little too strong of a move, and it took out a lot of good drivers that now finished, outside the top 20, including your points leader, Richie Coy, that's going to shuffle up the points quite a bit here as we head off into next week. But we're going to bring this thing to a close. We're going to thank our sponsors one last time before we do so. First and foremost, the league, Full Throttle Sim Racing. Be a part of this action. They have 36 drivers now lining up each and every week. That's record numbers for them. And make the league admins try to do some qualifying races. Let's this thing even more stocked up. So join this league at FTSR.net and get registered on their site today. Mach-1 Performance, the race fabrication shop that's produced champions and winners in all sorts of racing divisions. Find them on Facebook at facebook.com/Mach-1 Performance. And if they're in your area, get your car over there. Have them check it out. See if they can do anything for your team. Sim Racing Points, all-inclusive league points management system that allows to completely track league stats with a simple upload. Visit them at simracingpoints.com. Martin Sports, top quality apparel that make you look stylish and feel comfortable. See the entire apparel lineup at martinsports.gg. iRacing iFlag. Get notifications a fraction of a second faster without ever leaving the racing action. Visit iRacingIFlag.com for a full product line. Butt Kicker, get that ultimate racing feel with the haptic response from the Butt Kicker. Visit their site at thebuttkicker.com to see a full product line of their haptic products for your sim rig. Team Watson Racing Setups, quality professionally built setups for all your asphalt oval needs. Visit them at teamwatsonatracing.com for pricing and packages. And lastly, Roasted Jim's Coffee, premium coffee beans roasted just for you. Start your day the right way with coffee from Roasted Jim's Coffee, and you're going to find them at roastedjims.com. This will bring the end of the Nerd TV broadcast here tonight. We'll be back with us at 8:55 p.m. Eastern Time for some road course action at COTA with the Martin Sports Truck Series. Until then, you guys stay safe out there and always get your nerd on.